Hello all sentient beings and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about all news, comics, and media related to the... On this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode, we review Transformers Galaxies Issue 7. We get to see some new Transformers War For Cybertron Siege posters, and Paramount puts someone new into overseeing future movies of Transformers and G.I. Joe. Today is Friday, July 10th, 2020, and this is episode 189 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that over the long passage of time will destroy your belief in organized religion. I'm your host Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
Scott, the illustrious Dr. Pants.
Howdy, everyone.
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
How is everyone tonight? Let's talk Transformers.
Just do it normally. As always, we start off by thanking our donatrons, those lovely people who give us money on Patreon and PayPal. And we welcome to the ranks we recognize two of our special donatrons. The first one is Sledge. He's been a long time donatron on the Discord. He's bumped up his pledge significantly, so we really appreciate that. Thank you, Sledge. And we have a brand new donatron, Christopher, who has become a duly appointed supporter of the Transmissions podcast. So thank you to Sledge and Christopher for supporting the show, and thank you to all our donatrons for continuing to help us out.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yep, greatly appreciated.
Who loves you, baby? We do. Another way to help out the show would be to buy some merchandise from our TeePublic store, and that is at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. You can also check out K-Girl's store at tpublic.com/user/superstark. She's done a lot of artwork for us in the past and has some cool designs of her own. You can check out our masks and shirt designs at our TeePublic store, and if you use our link to go buy anything from TeePublic, that will help us out. So transmissionspodcast.com/shop. We've also got another perk for our donatrons coming up next Monday. We've got the uncut version of Empire of Rust episode 27. This is exclusive for our donatrons. You can access it on the Patreon podcast feed or through the Dropbox we share with the password we share to our donatrons in the Discord chat. So check that out, all the behind-the-scenes chatter for Empire of Rust, episode 27. Lastly, we want to mention, we mentioned this in the toy show, but we'll mention again, that we might have the opportunity to talk to the creators behind the Transformers Robots in Disguise 2012 comic from IDW, one of the high points in Transformers comics for the IDW run. And John Barber, Andrew Griffith, and Josh Perez are all on board to talk about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that went on with Robots in Disguise putting that comic together. And so if you've got any questions about that, put them up on social media. And I would advise you to do that quickly. As soon as you hear this, put that up, and you might hear the answers to those questions in a future date.
Send us feedback, not social media.
Oh, yeah. That's right. So yeah, go to transmissionspodcast.com/feedback. You can email us at feedback@transmissionspodcast.com. You can send voicemails. So yeah. All right. Let's move on and start off with comics news. So not too much news, but we do have covers for upcoming issues. This week we're reviewing Transformers Galaxies number 7, but we've got covers from Galaxies issue 8 and Galaxies issue 9. And these are by artists Umi Meow for 8 and 9, and Beth McGuire Smith is doing a cover on 8. So this continues the 3-part story with Gage and RC and Greenlight. And yeah, I think this, and we'll talk about that this week, but this is a very, I think psychological thriller would be the right term for this particular story. So it looks interesting, and you can check out those covers from our up and coming artists Umi Meow and Beth McGuire Smith.
And this is also when Winston Chan has, it's not listed here, but He has a cover on there.
Oh,
too.
cool. Yeah, friend of the show and Donatron, Winston Chan.
Yeah, for issue 8.
All right, that's all the comics news, so let's move on to our comic review. All right, this week we are reviewing Transformers Galaxies, issue number 7, Gauging the Truth, Part 1. Written by Sam Maggs, art by Beth McGuire-Smith, colors by Josh Burcham, letters and design by Jake M. Wood, editors David Marriott and Tom Waltz, and assistant editor Riley Farmer. We got 3 covers. Cover A is focus on Gage with a dark, sinister presence behind her in the ship's corridor. That is by Umi Meow. Cover B is by Alex Milne, and it shows RC and Greenlight in chains. Why are they prisoners? And that's art by Alex Milne, colors by Josh Perez. And cover Retailer Incentive, that is by Anna Malkova, and it shows Gage skulking through the ship with Heretic in a portal reaching out to grab her. So, Dr. Pants, which of these covers is your favorite?
I really like both cover A and cover B. Cover B is just, Alex does some amazing work and I really, really love it. But Ume Meow, something about the way the eyes are done, I love that on every cover. So I think I'm going to go cover A. I just love the expression on Gage's face. I love how bright, colorful it is. And it really, really hits the kind of style I like.
Cool. Daryl, which cover will you pick? I think I can guess.
Yeah, you probably can guess. It's the Alex Milne cover B. It's a bit of a different style than Alex is usually doing. He's using this hatching to do a lot more of the gradient of the shading, and he's also changing up the look of the bots a little bit, but he's making them a little slimmer, and it's cool. It's darker, and I like it. It's neat. And there's an awful lot of chain work here too, and that's a lot of detail. So I like that. I like it a lot.
Cool. All right, Jeremy, which cover are you picking?
Yeah, I have to agree. I really like Alex's cover. And the other ones I like as well, particularly the Retailer Incentive, but it's just the level of detail and the coloring on Alex's cover, I think it's just such a great image.
Shout out to Josh Perez. I will agree and also pick cover B, the Alex Milne and Josh Perez cover. I think that's really well done. And yeah, I mean, despite the fact that they're not in the issue so much, but yeah, we've got questions that probably won't get answered till the next issue about what's going on with RC and Greenlight. But yeah, these are, and I agree with that. All the covers are very nice, and I would put the Retailer Incentive as a close second for me. Okay, let's talk about the story. Somewhere in deep space on a Cybertronian starship, Gage, a young reversionist acolyte, or curate, begins her day. She finds comfort in the repetition, meditate, chores, devotion. It's all she's ever known. The reversionist faith reveals the truth that their leader, Plenary Heretic, is the chosen of Primus and will lead them to glory. Gage's mentor, Accelerator, chastises Gage for sometimes being distracted and being prone to letting her mind wander. Gage apologizes and promises to be more focused, but internally something still nags at her. Gage reflects on Heretic's truth and the reversionist path. After all, it's all she's ever known. Cybertron is doomed because it has strayed from the path. They ignored Heretic's teachings and guidance and have fallen into strife and darkness. This is why Plenary Heretic has taken the reversionists away from Cybertron. He can purify their sparks and bring them closer to Primus. Gage isn't really sure what purifying her spark is for, but she's a good curate and follows her mentor Accelerator's guidance. But something still tugs at her. On the console, for a brief second, a code or message flashes across the screen. She can't decipher it, but somehow she knows it was meant for her. This is what distracts her and pulls her away from her chores and devotions. She tries to ignore it and put it out of her mind, but she can't shake it. This cryptic message haunts her every step on the ship, flashing on every screen and console. Surprised, Gage sees the code flash on a panel above Heretic's throne. She thinks maybe if she can examine it closer, that might give her some insight. Her curiosity gets the better of her, and she approaches Plenary Heretek's throne, only to be intercepted by the Plenary himself. Gage is overwhelmed and drops to her knees in reverence of the Plenary, asking what she can do for him. Heretek angrily grabs the young curate, incensed at her transgression. He tells her he is the pure voice of Primus, while she is a flawed, corrupted curate. He warns her to never approach his throne again. Gage is shaken by the encounter. Plenary Heretek is not the divine figure she imagined him to be. Could everything she's known in her life be wrong? Perhaps that code, that message, is the key to discovering the truth. With her newfound confidence and trusting her instincts, Gage has an epiphany. She now knows what the code is trying to tell her and what she has to do. Gage goes to the engine room, a restricted area. It is heresy to enter this part of the ship, but she knows better. She sneaks in through a vent and makes her way to the forbidden area. She is discovered and chased by a guard, but somehow she calls on unknown instincts in herself to seize the element of surprise and fight back, knocking the guard unconscious. The way is clear, and Gage goes deeper into the area, hoping to finally find answers. The coded message continues to pop up on the consoles along the corridors, showing her the way. Eventually, she comes upon a holding cell with 2 bots locked inside as prisoners. One bot introduces herself as RC, and her partner is Greenlight. RC is glad Gage has come because RC wants to tell her the truth. To be continued. So this is a pretty unconventional story, but what I do like about this is I want to call out in particular the coloring that Josh Burcham uses throughout this issue. It's very kind of minimalist and almost, I would say, monochrome to make all the other Heretek acolytes look very, I guess, same. You know, it gives the vibe that this is really a cult and everyone is just thinking the same things, and then Gage is kind of the only free thinker among them. And as you go throughout the book, she comes more into focus with her coloring to show that she's standing out from the crowd. And I liked how much atmosphere the coloring gives in this book. I also really like Beth McGuire Smith's art throughout the whole book. I think she does a really good job on all the characters here. Gage and Heretek in particular, I think are really well done. Also, Accelerator, the other character, Gage's quote unquote mentor, she gets I'm not sure if it's a he or a she, but that character gets a pretty unique look. I guess it's a she. It looks kind of feminine. And then the reveal, of course, at the end, because we know we've seen Gage before in the main Transformers series, and we knew that her mentors were RC and Greenlight. So we're wondering, where they are, why doesn't she remember them? And so I guess that's a mystery we'll leave for the next issue. But overall, I think this is a good introduction to the story. It's a 3-part story. So this first part sets up the conflict and the status quo here of this being trapped in this cult with no memory of who you were previously, which I think is an interesting way to start the series. So, I'm definitely intrigued. So I'm looking forward to the next issue. Dr. Pants, what did you think of this?
I really enjoyed this. I'm big on stories like this where we get kind of like this cult look and someone indoctrinated but trying to break out of it, knows something's wrong, and then eventually leaving it. I also thought that the art was really, really cool, especially that shading. I made little notes about that, how the colors differed depending on what was going on, and Gage blending into the background sometimes, but then standing out at others. That was a really, really nice touch. The artwork overall was really, really good. I love the designs of Heretek and Accelerator and Gage. Everything looked really, really good. The one thing that kind of bothered me, and hearing your review kind of made it more sense, but like when she first talks to Heretek, it seemed just such a quick turnaround about how he acted, and I was like, why is he such a jerk about this? But then it made sense that, it's tripping off in her that this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Also, a religious order and their leader is called Heretic. That's is that on the nose, or is there a reason? But
So the thing I find funny about this is, so Heretic was a character created by James Roberts for More Than Meets the Eye, and it was kind of a throwaway character. Like he had an issue of More Than Meets the Eye where it was a flashback where Megatron had his Warriors Elite, and it was like 5 of the biggest, baddest Decepticons. So it was like Six Shot, Tarn, and I can't remember. There was a couple of others, and then one of them was Heretic. And I guess the idea was that he's a guy who he has like a matrix in his forehead because I guess he still follows the teachings of Primus and the Matrix, but he would be considered a heretic because, you know, Optimus Prime carries the Matrix. So isn't Optimus Prime the representative of Primus? So, but he's a Decepticon. So I guess Heretic would have been a heretic for the Autobots. And I guess that's, you know, and I think James Roberts probably just liked to, like the wordplay of turning heretic into heretic. But that was all pretty much a throwaway. Like we never got any, we never got any further exploration of who Heretic was in More Than Meets the Eye or Lost Light. It was, you know, a character that he introduced and then didn't do anything with. But in this new series, Brian Ruckley introduced him as the head of this reversionist religious sect, and now they're expanding it in Transformers Galaxies here. So they're really taking it and running with it. But yeah, the origin of the name is still a bit funny.
Holy crap, I completely forgot about that More Than Meets the Eye thing. Like, I remember that scene, but I forgot that they had mentioned Heretic, so, wow. Well, there you go. I learned so much when I'm here on with you guys, so thank you. It's nice
My
to listen.
pleasure.
But overall, I'm really, really enjoying the story, and I can't wait to see what's going on, because I was wondering if this took place after we had seen Greenlight and RC engage before, or if this was some kind of flashback, but it would make more sense that it was a continuation of what we saw, and some memory's been erased, and there's a mystery going on, so I can't wait to read the next issue.
All right. Daryl, what are your thoughts? I imagine you will be... there's not a lot of action in this book, so I imagine there's this left you a little bit frustrated.
Well, I enjoyed the coloring. You mentioned the coloring, and I got to also give Josh Bertram props on the coloring because it really did make the mood for every scene. You know, you could tell at the start when everything was kind of joyous and, you know, things were kind of, you know, kind of mundane, but, you know, figuring stuff out. And then as the book kind of got, you know, more and more tense, the colors palettes changed to a bit more actiony colors. And, you know, it was definitely done very well. I'm not as positive on the art as you are. I'm not a big fan of the way that the art style is done here. There's a huge crowd scene at one point, and everybody's, basically just kind of scribble bots here, and you can't really tell who anybody is except for Gage and whatever the other one's name is.
Accelerator.
Sure. That's. I mean, I honestly didn't care about the other character, Accelerator, to really remember their name, but the crowd scene here just, it bothered me because the bots that are right up in the foreground were also these scribble bots, and all I wanted was to see a little bit of detail in some of these guys, and maybe there's such an opportunity here to kind of put some characters that you might recognize, but they're all just nothing, and maybe that's the point. I don't know, that they're all just mindless drones in this, and that they're, you know, if that's the case, then okay, cool, but there's just no detail in this image. It's very bland. I don't know. The art is really, doesn't do much for me. I really do wish that there was a little bit more detail here. Now, the backgrounds do seem to be a lot more detailed than the bots, and again, if this is on purpose, then cool. But yeah, it's just there is a big difference here. The character Heretic, the matrix on the head is ridiculous. It's just it. I can understand being a religious zealot, and we've had those before, but the design and having a matrix on your head is just, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I can get the whole character seeing imagery and following these images and seeing a pattern and kind of wanting to figure out the mystery. I get that. And it's kind of cool and it's intriguing. And I do want to hear what RC and Greenlight want to tell Gage. But reading this, I was under the assumption that Gage was a new spark coming out of, the well of all sparks or whatever the hell, when shortly after Rubble did.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
It is true. Okay.
Yes.
So this story is basically taking Gage and has erased their memory of...
Yeah, we last saw Gage when RC and Greenlight and Gage jumped into the ship in the main series, and then we get this story.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
We don't know what happened between then and now.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's even her internal monologue says that the other bots tell her that she's the newest Cybertronian ever because she was the most recent one, the most recent spark to
youngest,
be born.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So perhaps then there's a little bit of confusion on my part as just to where the hell this story kind of lies. But I don't know. I'm interested to hear what the rest of the story is when it comes to RC and Greenlight and why they're all locked up. But I don't know, religious cults and stuff like that. It's just that I don't get into that. I'm not a real big fan of that kind of stuff. It seems ridiculous. So, whatever. Personal preference, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do think that the lack of detail in the bots seems to be intentional because when you look at Gage and Heretic, they do have a lot of detail. So it seems like it's meant to give the impression that all these bots are just not fully fledged characters. They're kind of just they're fully sucked into this cult and they're not fully realized, and that's the impression you're supposed to get. Yeah.
What if it's a simulation?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Like she's in the Matrix.
That's why the Matrix is on his head.
Well, and I was thinking about that because the code keeps popping up on like every screen she sees, even on the one above his throne, and no one else seems to notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm wondering if there's more to it than just, she's brainwashed or her memories were erased. I was just thinking about that. And maybe Heretic actually isn't, peaceful and whatnot and is a full-blown Decepticon jerkface.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting angle, so we'll have to see next issue. All right, Jeremy, what did you think?
I was drawn in immediately with the story. I love mysteries like this. And I was honestly going into the story not expecting it to like it as much because we had such little exposure to Gage before now. And I'm like, don't really know anything about Greenlight either. So RC is the only character, and this is a different RC than what we're used to. So going into this, I was expecting to just have kind of an intro to story to these characters. And then I get this, and immediately I was like, wait, Gage was with RC, what's going on? And then, you get into the story, and I just was really drawn into it. I saw the Cybertronian text, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get what's going here. I can't wait to see, whenever someone translates whatever that text means. But getting into the story, I love that her kind of world is just shattered immediately after meeting the Heretic. And I'm all in for finding out what happens next, because I don't know, I just really enjoyed everything as it was presented, especially the art. I liked the art a lot. I thought a lot of the things like the crowd scenes was very intentional in the lack of detail, and especially with the coloring, like you pointed out, with how as she was learning the reality and kind of breaking out of the truth she had been told and finding out that it's not true, things become more colorful and more real. I really thought that was a great work by Josh. And then I don't know, I really really enjoyed it. And seeing that RC was essentially expecting Gage to show up, that's how I took that last panel. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go from here, and I guess the reintroduction to these characters.
All right.
The Cybertronian text says engine.
Oh, okay. So it's essentially just telling her where to go.
Yeah. That's how she figures out to go down in the engine room. That makes sense now after translating that.
Awesome.
You're on the ball, Dr. Pants. You're forgiven for your lack of Terminator knowledge.
Yay!
Yeah, nice to have someone put their doctorate to work.
What are you trying to say?
Dr. Pants knows how to translate stuff. You're supposed to know stuff.
He does. Did you not hear the entire explanation of who Heretic was?
Well, yeah. Okay.
It was a name drop and more than meets the eye, and he just went off on it like, holy crap.
Yeah, I forgot where Charles's expertise lies.
I guess
software engineering is more of just a transformer knowledge base.
We're just not as impressed by it anymore. It's just a common thing now. Like,
Yeah.
okay, Charles is just gonna info dump on us here. Just sit back.
I'm still new, so it's really impressive for me still.
I like impressing new people. All right, everyone. Well, that is our review of Transformers Galaxies number 7. And we will move on to Transformers Media News.
All right, in media news this week, we've got some posters got released for Netflix Transformers War for Cybertron Siege. So we've got a bunch of different posters here. We've got one with Ultra Magnus and Bumblebee and Elita 1. They're all, just running into battle and showing off the new release date of July 30th. So that looks kind of cool. Pretty cool and fun. And these all look like they'd really make awesome, like, phone background, phone wallpapers. So, yeah, those are pretty fun. Next is a Jetfire and Starscream posters. So you can take a look at those. Those are pretty awesome. Again, these are all the Siege designs, and they're all they're kind of, I don't know if you'd call them images, but they're like GIFs, I guess. They move, so I don't know. It's a motion image, sure.
And it's Decepticon Jetfire.
It is Decepticon Jetfire. What's going on? I don't know. And the last group is, of course, the mainstays, Optimus and Megatron. Again, in these motion images, these things look cool. I mean, they're kind of badass. So yeah, I like them. They're neat, and looking forward to the show. So yeah, that's it for the Netflix show stuff. But once again, we do have knowledge that episode 15 of Cyberverse is dropping on the Hasbro's YouTube channel on Monday. Dr. Pants, why don't you tell us about the movie news that we got coming up?
Oh, all right. So, in movie news, Emma Watts is set to oversee Transformers and G.I. Joe at Paramount Pictures. She's replacing Wick Godfrey, president of Paramount's Motion Picture Group. He's stepping down. And I don't know too much about Emma Watts.
I don't think most of us do, so...
It says she worked previously on Deadpool, Logan, Bohemian Rhapsody, and James Cameron's Avatar, so...
Those are all shitty movies.
There's no hope. There's no hope for this franchise.
That's a pretty impressive resume, so...
It is. It's also shocking because they're all movies I've actually seen. And I don't see a lot of movies. So that says something.
So in terms of percentage of movies you've seen and stuff, she's
she's really up there. I didn't even know who she was till I read this. So, but
it looks like she resigned from Fox in January, I guess after the merger. So
okay,
I'm looking forward to having someone with that that resume behind her.
Yeah, here's hoping. I mean, we had a good run with the Bumblebee movie. All one movie we've gotten in that run. So here's hoping we can keep going, and here's hoping G.I. Joe gets a decent run for all the G.I. Joe fans out there.
Yes. They need good stuff.
When's the last time G.I. Joe fans got anything good?
This past week?
Oh, they did announce new stuff, didn't they? I completely forgot. Never mind.
And that's their problem.
Yep. Now they can wait. They can wait another 5 years for something else good.
Very true. But that looks like that's it for movie news. Anybody have anything to say about that aside from what's already been said?
No, good. We wish her well. Good luck and make good movies.
The better the caliber of people behind the movies, the better caliber the movies. Usually, right?
Most of the time, that's true. I'm struggling to think of an example that's not true, but I'm sure there's plenty of them there.
All right, well, that's it for media news, so let's move on to convention news.
All right. In convention news, we have another announcement from TF Nation's big broadcast of 2020. They have added Flint Dille to the roster of guests that they're going to have. Flint Dille was an editor, consultant, and writer on the original animated series, as well as G.I. Joe, and pretty much most of the Sunbow stuff. I'm like 3/4 of the way through his book, The Games Master, right now, and I'm sure he's going to talk a lot about that stuff. But it's a fantastic story. If you want to kind of live in the 80s world of the behind the scenes stuff with all of our favorite shows, it's a good read. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say here. We talked to him 5 years ago, maybe on TFCon. So I'll be interested to see what he has to say between then and now. I mean, he also works on Pokemon Go, and he's done a lot of game stuff. He's been everywhere. Also, we have Comic-Con International San Diego, or Comic-Con, or San Diego Comic-Con, is going to be having Comic-Con at home, and just wanted to mention that IDW is going to have a booth, in quotes, in their online exhibit hall, July 22nd through 26th. Booth 2729 is IDW Publishing. I would imagine there's going to be some news about the Transformers series, since there's a lot of stuff going on with the main series Galaxies and the Terminator book, and now we have the Back to the Future crossover. So I expect we get more news about that. So keep your calendar free for those days and check out what they have. And that is convention news.
All right, and we will finish up the show with some feedback. And we have a voicemail sent in by Augustin talking about Transformers versus Terminator number 2 review.
Hi guys, this is your friend from Denmark, Augustin, and a spoiler comment on Transformers vs. Terminator issue 2 about your last discussion. So the part where they show the damaged Autobots on the Ark, and you were drawing conclusions on which Autobot is likely to be revived based on their current state. Like an example, the ones that were more destroyed are probably dead for good. So that part I don't really agree on. It is totally against Transformers canon. As you remember, all the Autobots and Decepticons are completely dead, and Teletran 1 just did his magic. So that's one commentary, and then the second one is I really like the comic. Regarding the Terminator, I just have this feeling that things are going a little bit too fast. The same feeling I have in the Alien movies, recent Alien movies, where they don't have the time to build up the story the same way. I see the Terminator's face, melting off already in issue 1, and it's issue 2, and he's already just a metal skeleton. And for me, it is a little bit too high pace, but else very nice. Thank you. Goodbye.
All right, thanks, Augustin, for sending that in. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing is, you're right. I think that the bots can probably be rebuilt, from pretty devastated state, but the other problem is the Decepticons were all like messing around with the bodies. So I think if the Decepticons were going through and like, you know, basically punching out the sparks of any bots there, those are the ones that probably couldn't be recovered. And we don't really know which bots they got to before they left. Like Megatron was just about to blow away Optimus Prime, but he was interrupted, but we don't know how many other bots they took care of, you know. So we'll see. I think a lot of the bots will probably be revived, but you know, we'll see. The other thing about the pacing of the story, I mean, I guess the difficulty is it's a 4-issue series, so there's not a lot of time to, you know, to maybe draw things out. And maybe next issue, the Autobots and Teletran 1 and the Ark can maybe reconstruct the Terminator's synthetic flesh and get him back to looking normal. Maybe.
He can be a pretender.
Yeah. That's just speculation. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next issue, but that could be a possibility, but we'll see. But yeah, it is moving pretty fast, but yeah, they've only got 4 issues to work with, so they have to kind of get in and get out. That said, I do like the if it's got to be a 4-issue miniseries, the fast pace, what they've done so far has been really good. So, any other comments?
I think with the bots being revived, I mean, there are creative liberties being taken. I mean, like RC wasn't even in the cartoon in the original series, and we see her there. So, you know, you're just going to have to, you know, take a grain of salt with what you're seeing and just enjoy the story for what it is.
I'm tending to think of this as like, you know, an alternate universe. So, you know, being a big Marvel guy, there's so many different Marvel universes out there, and I'm thinking this is just some, you know, offshoot one. You know, they had the Star Trek versus Transformers, or, you know, whatever, or sort that kind of, you know, 6-issue mini or 4-issue mini that they did. That's a different universe altogether. And now they've got this one. This is a different universe altogether. They're all great in their own way. Using a Marvel term, the 616 universe of the Marvel universe, or the Transformers universe, that's the G1 universe. That's the original, right? And everything kind of takes from that in its own little way, but then there's little offsets. Like in this universe, yeah, the Terminator guy comes back and now he's fucking around with shit and messing stuff up. Well, that's different than the original G1 universe. So it's changed. Something's been changed, and that's what I'm liking about it. It's the same but different. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I'm excited for the rest of it. Do I think it's moving fast? No, I don't. It could move faster for me. I'm very, very happy with this pace of this thing. Get more action in there. Get shit moving quick. Both of these franchises are very, very well known to the audiences that are likely reading this book, right? Nobody, I can't imagine somebody picking up this book that's never read a Transformers or Terminator comic or seen a Transformers cartoon, movie, or Terminator movie or whatnot before. So somebody completely unfamiliar with this, I don't see picking this up. So you're going to know most of the background with these characters, and then when stuff starts to happen in your back of your brain, you can kind of fill in the gaps and say, okay, well, you know, this is why this happens. And you don't really need a lot of the exposition. You can just get down to the dirty fighting and, you know, the punching of the skin off the robot face. And yeah, it's great. I love it.
All right. Dr. Pants. So what are your thoughts on Transformers versus Terminator?
I would like to point out that, as Darrow was saying, like being familiar with these franchises, I've never actually seen the original Terminator movie, and I'm not familiar with it.
Oh my God. See, get out of here.
Hold on. I've seen half of Terminator 2 and all the others after it. Does that help?
No.
You get, if you were only going to see one, you'd make it two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 is awesome.
But still,
get yourself a lobotomy so you forget all the other Terminator movies and then watch Terminator and Terminator 2.
That's fair. That's a fair request. But when it comes to this comic series, I am really, really enjoying it. And while I've never seen the first Terminator, I know all the references they're making and I get all the jokes. the series is moving quickly, and I like it. As far as the deactivated Autobots, like, I'm really hoping they don't bring a lot of them back. I kind of want to see, like, I want to see Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and the Terminator just rip apart all the other Decepticons or go to town on them. And I am hoping Teletran 1 kind of rebuilds the Terminator, but maybe not just his synthetic skin. Maybe give him some Cybertronian armaments. Maybe really get a crossover going. I don't know. Kind of like with the Ghostbusters one, how we had a Transformer with Ghostbusters equipment. Now give me a Terminator with Transformers equipment.
So give him an alt mode. That
would be really, really cool. I don't see it happening, but it'd be pretty cool. And I'm really enjoying this book. And all these crossovers have been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to reading the rest of them.
I think you all are forgetting the first few pages of issue 1, where all the humans on the Earth are dead, and it's just the Terminators fighting the Decepticons. So, do we really want to make the Terminators more powerful?
For the sake of action, yes.
All right, you made your good point.
All right, and your assignment for this month, Dr. Pants, is to go watch some 80s movies. You have to watch Terminator, Terminator 2. Have you seen Alien and Aliens?
Oh yeah, they're some of my favorite movies.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, I've seen all of those. So, but I've also got to watch.
Well, yeah, that can't be a requirement because I haven't seen any of them.
Ooh,
my goodness.
I'm not into the thriller movies.
There's Transformers in it, Jeremy. Come on.
That's true.
I've seen that scene on YouTube.
Also, watch Running Man. It's funny. I watched it this past week just for shits and giggles.
Is it supposed to be funny?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I thought it was a dark comedy.
It's I mean, it's humorous looking back on it now, but it's supposed to be what takes place in 2015 or 2019 or something like that. I don't know. But it's it's funny. I enjoyed it.
I'm making notes right now of what I'm being told to watch for assignment now. So I can come back and report.
On topic, I watched The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, and Six Shot, the toy, is in that movie. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Wow.
It stuck out like a sore thumb when I'm watching that movie. We were watching it for Canada Day out on the backyard with a bunch of neighbors, and I was like, holy shit, there's Six Shot right there in the scene. The kid's playing with it. Yeah,
interesting.
I'll try and find that scene and put it up, but yeah, it was incredible. I was like, how has nobody seen this before? You pick out Aliens, like the Shockwave toy that's buried in the freaking Aliens scene, but nobody can find Six Shot that's plain as day in the middle of the scene.
Interesting. That's cool.
And like, I've seen The Great Outdoors in recent years. I would think I would notice that, but now I want to go back and rewatch the movie and find it.
Oh, it's in there.
Cool.
All right, everyone. Well, that will do it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean that Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.